We cannot win this re-election. We can only re-elect Donald Trump.
Whoa, did Joe Biden really say this? We'll find out on this week's episode of Internet Expert. Hey, and welcome to Internet Expert. This is the game show where you and your laptop can save democracy. I'm Malik Mercier, and this week we're finding out the truth about fake news. Misinformation and disinformation play a huge role in our media landscape, and so today we're going to learn a little bit about sorting fact from fiction online. Let's meet our contestants. Sonia, you may only be a freshman at UNC, but you're super involved. Can you tell me about your work? The Daily Tar Heel and with MediaWise, you sound pretty awesome.
So I'm a journalism student at UNC Chapel Hill, and I work with that program run through the Poynter Institute to hold media literacy trainings for other college students across the country.
That's so impressive. And I always think there are great journalists that come from there. Brooke Baldwin, one of them. So it's just super cool. I can't wait to see what you do. Your competition today is a college senior, also from Poynter, Johanna. It's so great to meet you. Can you tell me how you got involved?
I am an international relations major at American, so they kind of just put a call out to anyone interested in helping out fight disinformation and misinformation before the election.
That's so cool, and I'm so glad you did that right before things got crazy. You two are colleagues, so today's bets could be pretty interesting. Sonia, what does Johanna have to do if you win today?
Johanna and I were talking about this beforehand, and we thought it would be fun if both of us, if the person who loses has to eat like a big spoon of sriracha sauce.
A spoonful of sriracha. Wow. Johanna, how do you feel about that?
I'm not really looking forward to it. I haven't eaten lunch, so that'll be my lunch today, if that's what happens.
I think you're both up to the challenge, and I can't wait to see what happens. So let's start the game. Your first challenge is called Fast Fact Check. Here is a Facebook post with an image of a tweet allegedly posted by President Donald Trump. Using the internet, fact check this image. The first person to find out if Trump really tweeted this gets a point. Go.
I'm on TinEye. It's a reverse image search website.
So I am going to PolitiFact, which is a website run by ProPublica that finds deleted tweets from political officials and finding out if this is a tweet that he has deleted that's no longer on his page.
That's really smart.
All right, I think I'm ready.
What's your answer?
I think that this tweet by Donald Trump is fake, and he never actually tweeted it.
Yeah, you're right. Another way you could also know is because PolitiFact, which is another initiative of the Poynter Institute, rates information using a scale called the Truth-O-Meter, which has 6 levels of trustworthiness from true to pants on fire. And so this was rated pants on fire, clearly not tweeted by the president. Speaking of PolitiFact, we have a special guest expert here to present your next challenge. Angie Holan is editor-in-chief of PolitiFact. Angie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Malik. It's great to be here.
As editor-in-chief of a fact-checking publication, you must see more misinformation than anyone. What is the weirdest piece of misinformation that you've seen?
Well, recently, the weirdest piece I've seen online is about the coronavirus. It was an image that we found that claimed the TV show The Simpsons predicted the coronavirus. But alas, when we dug into it, it was an image that had been manipulated.
It's great that you guys were able to dig deeper and sort of help everyone to see the whole picture. I think it's super important to check sources. And I feel like the next challenge you're going to present for us has a little bit to do with all of that. So what is our next challenge?
Our next challenge is called cheap fakes. You've heard of deep fakes. These are videos that take a lot of technology. Well, cheap fakes, not so much. So I'm going to show you a video clip. And using PolitiFact, I want you to figure out if it was fake, how it was faked, what it was rated on the Truth-O-Meter, and then share the link to the real video. Ready? Here's the clip.
We cannot get re-elected. We cannot win this re-election. We can only re-elect Donald Trump.
Okay, if you're ready, find out how it was faked.
So Angie, do you think that people, have difficulty doing this, that it's kind of hard to find out whether or not something's true?
Video is the piece of evidence that is most convincing to people. So when there's a piece of video that's been manipulated or faked, it really can fool a lot of people.
I found a fact check from PolitiFact on the video. So according to the website, it cut Biden off early.
That's right. We rated this sample of a clip mostly false. It makes it sound like Biden wants to re-elect Donald Trump. He definitely doesn't. And the video was deceptively edited by omission. The Washington Post fact checker has led pioneering efforts in video fact checking, and they give a framework of 3 ways that videos can be altered. So the first is missing context. With missing context, the video's framing lacks or misstates the context in which events occurred. The second way is deceptive editing. This is a case where a video has been edited or rearranged to change its meaning. And the third case is malicious transformation. This is in which the video has been entirely manipulated to transform the footage itself.
Angie, I mean, thank you so much for sharing those, because I feel like it's really helpful to sort of break it down like that. It's so important to check the sources of videos, and just so grateful you came on the show. The next challenge is called the Viral Spiral, and it has 2 questions. Number 1, starting from the Facebook post linked in the chat, find out what is wrong with this post and name 2 prominent people who shared it. If you need a hint, we borrowed this challenge name from factcheck.org. Are you ready? Go. Sonia, tell me where you're headed.
I am probably going to go back to PolitiFact and see if they've done a fact check on that.
All right, I have an answer. I went to factcheck.org and I found their article about this story. And so the 2 people who shared it were congressional candidate Jesse Melton and Fox News personality Mark Levin. And then what's wrong with the post is that this wasn't from her account. And it wasn't like she didn't even tweet that day.
You got it, that's correct. Number 2, starting from the tweet that is linked in chat, find out what is wrong with this post and where it came from. Remember, we borrowed this challenge name from factcheck.org. Ready? Go.
Okay, I'm ready. I have the answer. The quick take is that it was a viral Facebook post where the author expressed frustration about COVID-19, racial and political divisions, and it was seemingly attached to Serena Williams' names, but it was written by another Facebook user. And this is something that we see a lot of the time, and like flag as red flag, like something that is cross-posted from another social media is something that we know is very likely it could be somebody else, because it's much harder to just like click on the name and see if that's actually Serena Williams' account.
That's it. Misinformation and disinformation can spread super quickly as accounts with bigger and bigger followings start to share them, especially when it's happening with inauthentic posts across platforms. Now let's play the domain name game. I'm going to give you 2 URLs and I want you to find out who owns them. The first is pbs.twimig.com. Just from looking at it, can you tell anything about this address?
I know pbs.org is a very reputable source, but this is a .twimig.com, which is like a URL that I've never heard of before, so that kind of raises some red flags off the start.
Sonia, you're right there. Now the challenge is to find out who owns it.
I've been on this site before, and it basically, I don't know, it just looks kind of funny because it like gets rid of the PBS prefix, but it says that like twimig.com is owned by Twitter.
That's right. So it's actually Twitter's image hosting domain. Kudos to you, Johanna, for finding that out. Here's your next URL, abcnews.com.co. What's your initial reaction when looking at this?
Initial reaction is that it shouldn't have a .com and then a .co.
Great analysis, Johanna. Now, for this one, we want you to find out who owns the URL of the reputable ABC News that we know, as well as this one, and compare the 2.
abc.com is registered to CSC corporate domains, and they're owned by ABC Incorporated, located in New York, which is their legitimate site. And then abcnews.com.co is registered to Big Rock Solutions. They don't have like a registrant contact or organization name. and they're located in Delhi, in India.
Exactly. So the ABC News that we know is headquartered in New York City. So that site is very likely not affiliated with ABC News. In this case, abcnews.com.co was a very popular fake news site that mimicked the design and logo of ABC News. It has been taken down. Ways you can verify a website's source include checking the About page for ownership, as well as checking funding and contact information, checking the credentials of the site's content creators, as well as reviewing other articles on the site. You can also look for extensive spelling and grammatical errors, which sometimes are a dead giveaway. Now we're going to the laundromat. Narrative laundering is a technique used by online operatives to spread false information in the US and in other countries. For this challenge, I want you to find out who a writer calling herself Alice Donovan really is and what she did. Ready? Go.
All right, I found an article from thinkprogress.org that said Alice Donovan was a freelance writer, or people thought she was a freelance writer, but she was actually a Russian operative posing as a journalist. And just to make sure that that source wasn't fake, I looked through a few other news sites, the NewYorker.com and Counterpunch.org, and a couple other news sites said the same thing.
Yeah, you're right, Sonia. So, she was specifically stoking discontent towards the Hillary Clinton campaign during the 2016 election. The Alice Donovan persona is an example of narrative laundering. A fake persona or a made-up think tank plants the seed of a false story on a far corner of the internet with the goal of getting it picked up and distributed and legitimized by other media outlets. And then they want it to be shared and repeated by bots and regular people on social platforms. Sonia, you got that right. This makes the final score 4-3. Johanna, you are officially internet expert for today. Congratulations. How does it feel?
It feels great, and I'm just really happy I don't have to eat the sriracha.
Okay.
Oh my god, that's a lot.
That is very spicy.
You took that like a champ.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Sonia, you made today's episode of Internet Expert the spiciest we have ever seen. Thank you both so much for playing.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us.
This episode was a whole lot of fun, and we of course have a question for everyone watching. No pressure on this one, you won't have to eat sriracha. How do you verify the accuracy of content that you see online? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time on Internet Expert.